Okay.
Everybody trying to be content creators and trying to go viral. You want to go viral?
Okay, you want to go viral. Let's go viral then.
Say less.
Let go.
Let's embrace it. Let's love it. Let's enjoy it. And let's give them the experience of their life. That's Roswell for you, baby. Come together. And guys, this is Speaking Out Loud. I appreciate you guys joining us. Don't forget to share and dance like you just don't care. It's early in the morning. Let's have a day. And like I said, be a friend. Tell a friend something nice. It might change their life. Shout out PMS. Good morning and welcome to Speaking Out Loud. I am your host, Mr. Rene Ruiz. And I welcome you to the recap of the Week 11 NFL weekend. That was, Jay, there was a lot of stuff that happened this weekend. Some good stuff. I found out that there's a couple of teams that have Super Bowl defenses. And I want to start off with saying the game that the Seahawks played. I know that Sam Darnold had 4 turnovers, and it felt like he was seeing ghosts. It felt like he was back in a green uniform, that green uniform being the New York Jets uniform. It felt like we were having a backlash just watching him out there. And I think if JB was here, he'd be highly critical of how he felt for Sam Darnold on how he looked, because he looked like the same Sam Darnold that caused the Minnesota Vikings a playoff run from last year. And But most importantly, from that Seahawks team, I think you come out of that game and you think to yourself, wow, we have a Super Bowl defense. We have the type of defense that could get a gentleman like Rex Grossman to a Super Bowl with the potential of possibly winning, because you got to just stand on the side that you got to believe that Sam Darnold will manage a game well enough to be able to overcome a tight game like they were in yesterday. Because yesterday they still had a chance, Jay. They still had a chance. They went out there and still kicked the field goal for the game with the second left, which, I mean, they almost lost in regulation just because Sam Darnold got happy feet back there on the last possession, slings it to Snead, their new addition, and he drops down quickly, and they call the timeout. They're able to get that kickoff. It was a long field goal. I believe it was 64 yards, Jay, and he shanks it to the right. But they had a chance to win with 4 turnovers against a Rams team that just last week we were saying is the favorite to win the Super Bowl. Are they still the favorite behind Matthew Stafford and the MVP performances that he's been putting on? I still think so, but I was just a little bit disappointed with the Rams overall with 4 turnovers, or causing 4 turnovers and only scoring 21 points, 14 of those points being in the first quarter, and that final touchdown being in the fourth. I would have liked to see them be a little more aggressive. Um, Matthew Stafford only going 15 for 28, almost 50% from the field. That feels like a pretty bad game. Feels like a pretty bad game, only 130 passing yards. Definitely not an MVP game for Matthew Stafford, but when you have 4 turnovers, I don't know if Sean McVay just got a little conservative. I dislike that he did, if that was the game plan when having the lead. But I would like to just see them step on the throats and get out of that game with 4 turnovers. That should have been another MVP type game for Matthew Stafford. And the fact that it didn't happen was a little disappointing. But I'm definitely on the up and up if I'm a Seattle Seahawks fan. I think this morning, even after last night's loss, you're waking up thinking like, hey boys, we got a real shot. We got a real shot not only to win this division, but to make a legitimate run, because you have all the weapons in the world. You got Kenneth Walker, you got Snead, and you got JSN. You got what you need offensively. You got a solid offensive line. Although it felt like Sam Darnold had no time in the world. They're going against a stout defense in the Rams, which is what really gives you peace for as a Rams fan, or if you're a Rams fan, is the fact that you have a defense that also is Super Bowl caliber. And whenever we talk about Super Bowl defenses, the ones that I saw yesterday, to me, is the Rams, right? Seattle, like I just said, The Broncos, boy, oh boy, do the Broncos defense. Does that defense look good, man? That defense was buzzing yesterday. That defense is the one reason why I'm excited about the Denver Broncos. There's nothing that offense does right now that makes you feel confident that this team will come playoffs and come that first round. There's nothing about that offense that makes me confident to think that it's not just a first round exit. The only reason that I'm excited about this Denver Broncos team is because that defense. I mean, look how good their defense looked yesterday, and they didn't even have Patrick Surtain. And Riley Moss he had a couple PIs, there was one that was maybe questionable, but he was in some tough situations, but that defense was able to manage and help some of those PIs not be as deadly as what they could have been. But if I'm the Denver Broncos, man, I'm feeling pretty good too. You just beat a division rival in the Chiefs. You may have made the possibility of the Chiefs playoff appearance be an actual question here. Like we woke up this morning. I woke up this morning. I'm thinking, man, do the Chiefs is it possible that the Chiefs don't even make the playoffs? They're sitting at 5-5 in the division. The Chargers dropped an ugly one yesterday. Don't know what happened there. At one point, I didn't even see Justin Herbert out there. That one is one I'm going to have to rewatch. So I'm going to have to hold off on the criticism towards Justin Herbert and the Chargers because I didn't pay too much attention to that game. But when I did look, I was shocked. I was blown out of my mind to see that the Jaguars were putting belt to A on the Chargers. It's like you just throw your arms up in the air like, what is going on in the league right now? What is going on in the league right now? Like the NFL right now just doesn't make sense. 1 second we're locked in thinking, oh wow, this team is a Super Bowl contender. And then they do what the Jaguars do yesterday and put it down on the Chargers to make them look like they don't even belong. And then you look at the record and it's like 7-4 and the Chiefs are 5-5 and it's like, damn, are the Chiefs just that bad? Or you look at the Niners with the Niners last week, it's like, all right. And then guess what? Brock Purdy comes back and elevates this team to new heights. Christian McCaffrey, 13 carries, 81 yards, 2 touchdowns. Normally, you'd be like, 13 carries. Why? Why does Christian McCaffrey only have 13 carries? It's because it wasn't needed. They were clogging the box. Put the ball in Brock Purdy's hands, right? And this team put up 41 points. And I know Arizona Cardinals, we saw them last week. We saw how bad they got beat down early, quick, right away. And the 49ers did exactly what they're supposed to do. When you're a good team, this is exactly what you're supposed to do. This is what makes me feel good about the 49ers, is when they go play against a sorry team and they do exactly what they're supposed to do. Now they're sitting at 7-4 in probably the toughest division in the league, right? The Rams and the Seahawks, right? And then Arizona's just kind of left in the back burner. What's going to happen out there? Who knows? Does Kyler Murray get traded during the offseason? Possibly, probably. You would expect that, right? But when we look at the Niners schedule, as a Cowboys fan, I'm a little distraught about the results from yesterday because nothing played in the favor of the Cowboys outside of probably Philly winning, which that's a whole nother conversation we'll have in just a second because that PI. And I'm not saying hold on, let me finish my thought on the 49ers, then we'll go to the Eagles because man, that PI was crap, bro. That PI was ended the potential of a historic game, honestly. But with the Niners, being a Cowboys fan, nothing really fell into our pocket that we expected outside of the Lions losing. But you look at the Niners' remaining schedule because they're sitting at 7th in the conference, right? And those 7 teams get into the playoffs. This is a wild card team as of right now, which more than likely is going to be a wild card team going into the playoffs, right? So next week they got the Panthers, which Panthers had an overtime win. Sometimes that high with the Panthers, what we've seen with the Panthers is that when they get super high, they always follow up with a good low. It seems like they always follow up with a good low. Although they got an entire week because they don't play until next Monday against the 49ers in San Francisco. So I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to the 49ers. And then they got the Browns and Titans. That's 3 wins. That's 3 wins for the Niners, putting them at 10 wins. Then they end the season with Colts, Bears, and Seahawks. If they can at least get 2 of those 3, actually just one of those 3, get them to 11 wins, and I think it gets them into the playoffs. I think as of right now, assuming that no crazy injury happens to the San Francisco 49ers, I think it's safe to say that this 49ers team will be in the playoffs. So congratulations to my 49er friends and family that are fans of them. Congratulations. Let's go ahead and let's just have a round of applause, Jay. Jay, hit me with a round of applause real quick. Let's have a round of applause for the San Francisco 49er fan base for officially 6:45 in the morning. I think it's fair to say that the San Francisco 49ers will be in the playoffs. Possibly, more than likely as a wild card spot, right? Like, I don't want to get ahead of myself here and think that the Rams are going to fall apart or Seattle's going to fall apart. Rams more the Rams because they got a 2-game lead. It is possible that Seattle drops the ball. Which, you know what? Let's just look at Seattle's schedule while we're here, right? While we're looking at this division, the NFC West. Let's just look at what we got here, just to see if it's possible that Seattle drops the ball. Because we saw the next 3 games for the 49ers, right? The next 3 games I showed you guys, 3 wins for sure, Unless Shador, right? Unless Shador does what we think he's gonna do, right? And we'll touch on that in just a second. Finally got to see a little bit of Shador. Was it great? Not really, but it was nice to see him out there. Was he forced out there? For sure. But look, all right, we got the Titans, Vikings, Falcons. I think that's a tougher 3-game stretch than the 49ers 3-game stretch because the Vikings are hit or miss, right? They got they got JJ McCarthy, whose alter ego is Name 9. We have yet to see him. We see him like one drive a game. We see JJ McCarthy one drive a game, and that's it. Yesterday gives them the lead, and when we saw what happened with that Minnesota Vikings team, which is probably the reason why JB's not here today. You know, there's a little bit of salt in the wound there. I had a couple interviews lined up for my boy. I was gonna troll just a little bit today. I was gonna troll a little bit. It's gonna be fun. This is what happens. You're allowed to troll whenever your team don't play on the weekend because there's nothing to troll back on, right? Because we're just waiting to see what's gonna happen tonight. And let me remind you, tonight is the start of the run. Tonight is the start of the generational run of the Dallas Cowboys. Expect it, respect it. Expect it and respect it. So whenever we beat the Raiders tonight, don't hit me. And I wore their colors purposely today. You know, because I just wanted to give my condolences to the Las Vegas Raiders. Because today's the official end of their season. Today's the day that Raider fans can hang up the jerseys in the closet and push them to the back. Today's the day that Raider fans can take off their hats and put them on the top of the shelf or put them behind all the other hats. Today is the day that Chip Kelly gets fired. Today is the day Chip Kelly is no longer associated with the NFL. Today is the day we realize that there's no reason why Chip Kelly should be one of the highest paid offensive coordinators in the NFL. Respectfully. And I say that because time after time we have the same questions with the Raiders. Now, how the hell did I get to the Raiders when we were just talking about the Niners and the Seahawks and the NFC East? NFC East, I apologize. But let me roll here. The fact that Chip Kelly has failed Ashton Genty, that alone already should never get you another job in the NFL. It's hard for me to wrap my head around the fact that they have one of the most explosive, most athletic, the next breed, the next generation of talent on his team, and he doesn't know how to utilize it. And that might be, it could easily be like, yo, Chip, you're a good college coach, and that's it. And it's okay. It's okay if that's the answer. That's not a bad thing. You can be one of the most elite college coaches. Just you got to stay in your lane. But I get it. You were given an opportunity, so you took it. And now this is just the results of something that we should have already all known. And coming into the season, we gave the Raiders the benefit of the doubt because Tom Brady came into ownership. Tom Brady was going to be in the ears of the coaches. Tom Brady was a part of the GM decisions. We gave too much respect for something that has not shown us any type of results on this side of football. Not on the field. Tom Brady is obviously a legend on the field. But so far, him as a GM, him in ownership, boy, they have missed. They swung and absolutely missed. And they went with the old. They went with what they thought was already proven, right? They went with the Pete Carroll, the old guy, the one that's already accomplished so much. They went with Geno Smith, the vet, who went on a bit of a run last year. Right? Maybe we jumped too soon. Maybe we got excited too quick. And then you draft Genty and you overpay an OC that seems to have had zero plan. And I think today is the day that comes to fruition and the Cowboys do the Las Vegas Raider fans a favor. And I would like to be the spokesman for the Dallas Cowboy fans this morning and say, Las Vegas, you're welcome. You're welcome because you'll be able to move forward. You'll be able to go on that new search for the next guy. Or maybe you go get someone like Brian Dable. Or Kevin Stefanski, because Kevin Stefanski is going to be probably looking for a job here pretty soon. And it seems like we pumped the brakes on the Miami Dolphins. John Gruden came out with a bit of a video this weekend talking about Miami going on a bit of a run and what his expectations were because of the way that the schedule was set up for them. So let's go ahead and go look at that. Let's go ahead and go look at the Miami Dolphins. I know we're talking about losers this morning so far. It's the first half of the show. Let's go ahead and get the losers out of the way so that way on the back end, we have the juice, we have the steam to talk about the teams that can win the Super Bowl, like the Rams, like Buffalo, like Philly, like the Broncos, or the Dallas Cowboys. No, I had to drop a little joke in there, Jay. I had to drop a little joke in there. We know the other Super Bowl contenders. What, the Patriots? We're feeling pretty good about the Patriots. I think I am. I know that there's a lot of shots going at the Patriots right now because the strength of schedule. They have one of the easiest strengths of schedule. They have these 1-2 right next to Baltimore. Strength of schedule in the NFL. So they're getting a little bit of pushback. Also the Colts. Whenever you start looking at the Colts schedule, you're kind of like, whoa, they really haven't played anybody. But the one thing about the Colts is that they've been performing well. And you want to be in those tight sometimes you want to be in those tight situations. You don't want too many of them. You don't want too many of them. Like when we look at the Bucks now, we're like, and I said at the beginning of the season, it's like, damn, are we having too many too soon? Are we peaking too quick? That's what it felt like watching the Bucks. But all right, let me pull up this Miami Dolphins schedule. All right, so he said they might make a playoff run, and then he John Gruden, I'm talking about Chucky, right? Former Super Bowl champ for the Bucks. So they got W against the Bills, W this weekend against the Commanders in overseas, over the pond, right? And they were in Spain. And now they got the Saints, Jets, Steelers, especially because Aaron Rodgers just got hurt. So what was reported with Aaron Rodgers as of last night is he has a potential broken left arm, which is kind of a good thing because it's not his throwing arm. So it's possible that he comes back, but he's going to have an MRI this morning. So the results will probably come around here probably in about an hour. Maybe I'll be able to see it and let you guys know as soon as it comes in. Just waiting for the alert from Adam Schefter or Ian Rappaport from NFL Network. But all right, so they strung 2 wins in a row, and now they got the Saints in Miami, the Jets, Steelers, Bengals. They're like he's onto something here. The Dolphins, all of a sudden, Mike McDaniels can save his job for sure because they're sitting at 4-7. Man, they got to win out though. They would have to absolutely win out. So Saints, Jets, Steelers, Bengals, Bucks, Patriots. You know what? I honestly, if you're a Dolphins fan, this is where my thought process is right now. I think I've already accepted, and correct me if I'm wrong here, guys. But I think if I'm a Dolphins fan, like I've already kind of accepted what this team is. In my head, I've already accepted that we're no longer going to have Mike McDaniels, and we're probably going to move on from Tua. But for sure, we're going to probably move on from Mike McDaniels. So, because of that, if Miami makes it close, do you forgive the beginning of the season? Do we just forgive and forget for the Miami Dolphins? And then we run it back one more year with Mike McDaniels? That's a legitimate question. Like if you're a Miami Dolphins fan, as a Dolphin, I'm not a Dolphins fan, but if I put myself in a Dolphins fan's shoes, I would have assumed that they were already looking forward to the draft. They were starting to think of what pieces they could bring in to help. Maybe the offensive line, maybe rebuild the defensive players of all the players they've already let go. So I wonder, like, are you in a place right now where it's like, man, we don't want to win. Like I don't want to go on a run just to have my heart broken. I don't want to go on a run just to not make the playoffs. Because that's what they're lined up for. They're lined up for the biggest heartbreak of all time. Honestly, the biggest heartbreak. Like, honestly, if you're a Dolphins fan, you're like, come on, Patriots, win out. Win out, because the better the Patriots do, the more likely they are to sit players in the final week of the season, which if you upset Tampa Bay, who Tampa Bay might be playing for something at the time, so that's going to be a tough one. But let's just say that's the only tough game you got. Because Bengals went down, right, yesterday. So the likelihood of Joe Burrow coming back, they're probably not going to rush him back. Especially when we get to about week 16, he's definitely not going to come back if there's no playoff implications. More than likely, he's not coming back. We don't know how long Aaron Rodgers is going to be out for. A broken left arm, at least a month, right? So Aaron Rodgers probably doesn't come back until week 6, maybe that week 16 game. And even then, has that offense looked that great to where you're afraid? The Steelers' inconsistency, I don't know that it makes you nervous. So the Dolphins are almost set up for the biggest heartbreak of all time. Or at least of the last that I can remember. The only thing that can be a bigger heartbreak for me in the NFL of storylines this year would be the Cowboys making a run and then losing it there at the end and not getting into the playoffs. That would be the only story that I think would be bigger than this if the Dolphins could go on a run and drop the ball to the Bucks in week 17. Because I'm sitting here on the assumption that the Patriots are probably going to be sitting people come week 18 to end the season. So that one, Miami should weasel themselves through that game. Honestly. So the biggest game for me is going to be that Buccaneers game at 11 o'clock, which I believe is going to end up getting flexed until probably a 2 o'clock game. Now you're thinking like, what? A Miami game getting flexed? No way, especially to primetime? Yeah, I'm thinking that too. But if they do what we think they're going to do, which they didn't look very great this weekend, so that's a big if. Big if. But man, if they do, this run is going to be fun. This run is going to be fun because the conversations shift. And all of a sudden, we're talking about how Mike McDaniel saved his job, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll be sitting right here. And man, that fall is going to suck. That fall is going to suck because if the Patriots want to be jerks, guess what, Jay? If the Patriots want to be jerks, all they got to do is play the starters for a half. And a bunch of cheeks in Miami are going to get tight. They are going to get tight. Bro, how hilarious would that be? How hilarious would that be, bro? Well, let's talk about some champions, bro. Let's talk about the one thing that we learned the most about yesterday. With all the criticism that faces this city's direction, with all the criticism that their MVP caliber quarterback gets, with all that criticism Nick Sirianni gets, Nick Sirianni, after yesterday, after last night, although it was a shite PI, the PI was BS. It shouldn't have been called. It should have been called offensive pass interference, if anything. But they come out victorious. You know, the Eagles don't make the calls, bro. That's the one thing we got to remember, right? It's not the Eagles that make the call. It's the refs. The ref was at a bad angle, made a bad decision. I'm sure he's going to wake up this morning, not feel anything, not really care. But he did make a bad call. He's going to have to go to sleep with that, right? So when he goes and hangs out with his other lawyer buddies, he's going to have to answer to that, to his buddies. Not that it matters, not that anybody cares. But hey, let me pull this up real quick. But what I noticed from Philly yesterday is that they just reminded us, that they just win, bro. The Eagles just win. And no matter what the talk is around the Eagles, like at the end of the day, they just win. They just win. They've beat all our favorite teams. Every single one of them. All they do is show up and win. So like how do we judge that? Cuz you see that I see a lot of tweets or a lot of are we still calling them tweets post X on X? I guess we're still calling them tweets. We're sticking with tweets. There's still a lot of criticism against this Eagles team about them not being this team is the best worst team in the NFL. But it's like how are they the best worst if they're just beating everybody? Any team that we think is good, guess what? They've beat. The Lions, guess what? Oh, you think they're Super Bowl contenders? That's cool. We beat them last night. 16-9 wasn't the prettiest game. It was a shite call there at the end. Detroit, what? 5 possessions in the red zone? And they basically those 4 possessions that are turnover on downs. I mean, those are basically picks. Those are basically interceptions. And there was a couple of those where my buddy Earl texted me. He's like, I hate this. I hate that they went for it, especially the one that was on their own side of the field. I love the aggression. The first one that they went for, that one was a little iffy because it felt rushed. They just ended up handing it off. Philly reads it. They jump it. They win that first one. That was the first time Earl texted me. He's like, I hate this. I don't understand why you would go for it on your own side of the field so early in the game. And to me, it's like Dan Campbell is trying to set the tone. He's trying to show them we're not afraid of you guys. You guys will go for it on 4th and 1. Well, guess what? Let me one up you. We'll go for it on 4th and 4 because we don't give a darn. We're here to win. That's what I like about Dan Campbell going for those on 4th down. Because if he converts, he's the smartest guy in the room. Outside of that first play call, which was a draw, felt rushed. Felt like they were quick to the line. They didn't really even give themselves time to really set up. At least that's what it felt like from my eyes. And then they turn it over on downs. But I'm still optimistic. Then they get a stop and they get the ball back. So I'm like, all right, the defense is buzzing for Detroit. But for me, most importantly, is Dan Campbell showing us the cojones that he's got. And when you're playing a team like Philly, you're gonna have to take those risks. Because guess what? When you're in a close game against Philly, guess what? You're probably gonna lose. And the faster you realize that, the more aggressive you'll become. And it's gonna take an aggressive team to take this team out. Because the one thing that the Eagles have showed us is that you're not just gonna come into town, or we're not just gonna go into your town, and it's just gonna be a little patty cake game. Like this is gonna be a banger. This is a fight. The Eagles are like you know what? The Eagles are Islam Makhachev. That's exactly what they are. You're probably wondering, who is Islam Makhachev? Such a random name. A fighter from Dagestan, fights for the UFC. He's the double world champ, welterweight, lightweight, former lightweight, now welterweight, moved up and took the belt. Smothered his opponent in the most boring fight of all time. Most boring double champ fight victory of all time. What I stayed up for this weekend on Saturday night, as a now 33-year-old person, which shout out to all the folks that showed me love on my birthday. I appreciate you guys. Love, love, love. But the fact that I stayed up that late to watch a card that happened at Madison Square Garden, and man, that card was buzzing, brother. From the main event, from the prelims, where we get it's like finish. In that same division, welterweight, you got Prates, finish. Our American boy Sean Brady from Philadelphia fan got finished. And then we get to the co-main and the main. It's like two absolute snoozers. Did Shevchenko and Islam dominate? Yes. But it's also fair to say that was a boring ass fight. And it's cool. We could be those people that's like, you don't understand technical fighting. You don't understand the beauty in scrambling. You don't understand the beauty of being able to smother another human being. Yes, that can all be true. But it can also be true that we do understand that. And we can still say, guess what? That was a boring fight. That was the most boring championship fight. That was the most boring of all boring fights for a double champ status. That was the most boring win of all time. But that's exactly what the Philadelphia Eagles can be, are right now. As of right now, that's exactly what the Philadelphia Eagles are. Right now, if you put Philadelphia right next to Islam Makhachev, they almost look identical. They almost look identical in their styles. They just smash you, brother. Sin location, brother. Like that should be the new slogan for the Philadelphia Eagles. It's just sin location. Sin location, brother. Hashtag sin location, brother. I smash you. I smash your friend, brother. That's what's going on with Philly, man. Boring, but so dominant. It's actually frustrating at this point. But you got to respect it. That's the part that sucks, is you got to respect it, because the result is the result. And guess what? If Philly gets to the Super Bowl just like that, at the end of the year, we're going to be like, that was boring. But guess what they're going to say? Super Bowl champs, baby. Back to back. Back to back. Philly fans woke up this morning like, P.I., get out of here. We didn't call it. They called it. We're just playing the game. But you play to win the game. And that's exactly what happened. And that's exactly what Philly's doing. And we could look at their schedule, bro. Look at this. This is crazy. All they do is win. All they do is win. The one team they lost to is guess who? A team that has the most dominant defense in football. I'm telling you, boys. Last week we had a gentleman on named Johnny. He's a Broncos fan. He was highly critical of Sean Payton and that offense. His criticism was they're not using Mims enough, right? They're also not just allowing Bo Nix to just make mistakes. It's almost too conservative. And after this week against the Chiefs, it's like you okay. I kind of get Sean Payton's point of view here. It's like you know what you got in Bo Nix. You know what you have. He's not there yet, but you have a team and a defense that is. And now you're just waiting. Our defense is here. Now we're just waiting for Bo Nix to catch fire. In the playoffs it's a March Madness style. This can relate to college hoops easily because all you need is to catch a little bit of fire at the right time and string a couple good games together. We've seen it from guys that probably don't deserve a Super Bowl. And I need to chill out when I say that. That's a little disrespectful because then the next name I was gonna say is like a Joe Flacco, right? Do you guys remember Brock? You remember I think Brock was his first name, but Bo, Brock Jaguars. Remember Jaguars Bortles? Here we go. Brock Bortles. Remember him with the Jags? Booty. Yeah, booty, bro. Like he showed us what he was, but he went on one run, bro. One run and got the Jags to the AFC Championship. Woke up next day $50 million richer because he ended up getting a new contract immediately. And honestly, I'm not even reporting that correctly because it wasn't 50 mil. It was a lot more than 50 mil. I think he signed a 3-year deal after that. Blake Bortles, that's what it is, not Brock. Blake Bortles. Yeah, appreciate you, Robert. Appreciate the correction right there. You're Robert Blake Bortles. Got him there. Guys, Rex Grossman got to a Super Bowl because of Devin Hester. Peyton Manning won a Super Bowl, the worst season of his career, and still got to a Super Bowl solely off of being probably one of the greatest game managers of all time. Whenever you remove the ego from the quarterback, and you could say, hey, Bo Nix doesn't even have a reason to have an ego. Sure. Still the quarterback. I'm sure every quarterback has a small chip on their shoulder. But that's what this defense reminds me of. Is it they have the type of defense that can get a mediocre quarterback to, at the very least, an AFC championship. And all we're going to need is about 2 or 3 great throws from this game manager. And that's what it feels like Sean Payton is trying to create. Rather than trying to create the next Joe Burrow or a Patrick Mahomes, he's just trying to create a Brock Purdy. And that's no disrespect to Brock Purdy because Brock Purdy is a hell of a game manager, but can also make the throws. It's like Brock Purdy understands his role on the team. And he knows that if he turns it over and if he's the reason, then they'll probably lose. But every now and then, Buddy can catch some fire. And when they get the ball rolling, it is hard to stop momentum. Momentum is the most real thing in sports of all time. And once you catch it, it's like when you get hot in the gym and you just 1, 2, 3. That fourth shot feels so good. I don't care how bad of a shooter you are. You could be the worst shooter ever. Anytime you walk into a gym, Jay, I'm telling you, anytime you walk into a gym and you hit 3 in a row, God, you could be the worst athlete. If you hit 3 in a row, that fourth one, you're throwing that sucker up there with confidence. Honestly, if you're just stroking it in the gym, let's say you got 3 solid form shots, clean. That fourth one, you might get a little excited. You might hit him with a little step back. You could be the most unathletic dude ever. Haha, step back. Boom. you probably miss. But if it goes in, boy, that fifth one, you might hit him with the crossover behind the back, step back. All of a sudden, all of a sudden, the hoop's bigger. It's the same thing in the league. You thread that through a needle. Guess what? That next pass, all of a sudden, you got a gun here. You're ready to sling that thing. And that's what that Broncos team. And because I'm looking at Philly's schedule and I see Broncos are the only team that beat them, it's like, yo, maybe the Broncos are the best team in the league. And we're just so caught up on Matthew Stafford having an MVP season or the defending champs just doing business as usual. Like with the Chiefs struggling so much, you look at the AFC. Let's look at the AFC picture right now. Let me pull up. Let's pull up the standings real quick. All right, Broncos are the best team right now in the AFC, as they should be. And they've had some close games, and honestly, they should probably be 10-1. They should probably be 10-1. But we look at these standings, and you got. Let's just look at. All right, so the top 7, right? We're gonna go. It goes Broncos, Patriots, Colts, Steelers, Bills, Chargers, Jaguars. And honestly, it feels like probably Baltimore and the Steelers switch spots with Aaron Rodgers going down. I don't know if anybody's excited about Mason Rudolph. I don't know that anybody's excited about Mason Rudolph. I don't know that anybody's thinking that the Steelers will come out of this with wins. And next week they got the Bears in Chicago. Then you got the Bills and the Ravens, and that Ravens game is going to mean everything. That Ravens game is the most important one. But you could be going in there losing back-to-back games against a hungry Ravens team that's looking to take your spot in the division. So it makes me a little nervous for Steeler fans. Just a little. By little, I'm meaning a lot. I know that don't make sense, but this division don't make sense either. It's just as confusing as I am right now. But you look at this AFC and it's like, man, the Broncos defense is so good that I like their matchup against anyone, and I'm not even thinking about their offense yet. Like just thinking of their defense, just solely their defense. You match them up against New England, and I go, well, who has New England actually played of a top 5 defense caliber? Who have they played where you look at them and they're like, man, they've really had some pressure on defense? And I guess you could say the Bucks, and they hung 28 on them. But you go down the line, and man, the best team they've played, or the best 2 teams they've played, are the Bucks and the Bills. The Bills being the best team they've played, because the Bucks seem to be struggling just a little bit. And they played the Steelers and lost. And if we remember back in week 3, that was the one game where we were like, oh wow, this is the potential of the Steelers defense. So the one time that the Patriots have faced a defense that's putting pressure in Drake May's face, they dropped. So I would still take Denver in that situation. I'm taking Denver over any team in the AFC. And this might actually sound a little dumb because there's a lot of fraud alerts coming around this team right now, but it feels like the Indianapolis Colts are the only true threat. Unless Travion Henderson stays consistent when they hand him the ball, similar to games like Jonathan Taylor. That's why I give the Colts the edge, is because Jonathan Taylor is having a season like we saw what Saquon Barkley and the Philadelphia Eagles had last year. And when push came to shove, who won? When push came to shove, when Philly needed it most, who won? The Eagles did. The Eagles went on and won the Super Bowl. And I know you're probably like, you're thinking, yeah, but Jalen Hurts was cooking. Will Bo Nix do the same? That's 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 what leaves us with that small nugget of maybe they won't, maybe they don't. But I like my chances. And you have the offensive guru who has been in a tight situation and has won a championship. And he's also been on the other side of it where it's been a tight game and he's had a bad call not go his way and cost him a trip to a Super Bowl. And also, he's been of a part of tight games where he's been on the winning end and losing end of it. You have to give Sean Payton the benefit of the doubt. Sure, our criticisms right now are, is his playbook outdated? Has the league passed him? Maybe Sean Payton is smarter than us. Maybe he is the smartest guy in the room, Johnny. Maybe what he's trying to train is game management into Bo Nix's head because he knows that this defense will always keep us in games, and all we need is about 2 or 3 great throws from you. Maybe that's what it is. And I take this back to what happened with Philly. And if we just go based on that, it's possible. And they have they have the talent, brother. If right now, Jay, right now in football, it's so confusing. But if we were just to narrow it down to 4 teams, it feels like the NFC is going to be represented by the Rams and the Eagles. And on the AFC, it feels like Colts, Broncos. And if you want, you could sneak the Patriots in there. So I guess we have 3. The only reason I question the Patriots is obviously because of the strength of schedule. But that's not their fault. They're just beating the teams you put in front of them. They're just beating the teams you put in front of them. So we'll throw them out there because they're doing what they're supposed to. And it's going to go based on Travion Henderson. Trey's got to cook. Drake May will do his thing. But at the end of the day, you got to have a heavy running game when you're relying on your defense to get stops. And that's what this Patriots team is. They're hard-nosed with a solid defense led by a maniac in Mike Vrabel. But on the NFC, you got the Eagles, the Rams, and then I guess if we want to sneak in another team, we can sneak in the Green Bay Packers, Jay. If that's what we want to do, we can sneak in the Green Bay Packers or Seattle. And honestly, as of right now, I think Seattle is a better team than Green Bay. It's just Green Bay feels like they have the better quarterback. Or do they? They definitely have the better defense. Seattle's defense is almost similar to the same conversation we were just having about the Broncos. It's damn near identical. But they got a defensive-minded coach. And their defense is playing at its best, opposed to the Broncos having offensive-minded coach, but their defense is at their best. There's so much pressure on Sam Darnold to be the ultimate game manager with all the weapons that you possibly need. JSN could be Jason, AJ Brown, right? Sneed, Devonta Smith, Kenneth Walker, Saquon Barkley, Sam Darnold, Jalen Hurts. Then you look on the other side and it's like, that defense top 3, buddy. That defense is top 3, buddy. But I don't know that any of this matters, Jay, because outside of the Broncos, the best defense in the league is the Philadelphia Eagles. And the fact that the league allowed Jalen Phillips to go to Philadelphia with for a third-round pick? Are you kidding me? We're just letting the rich get richer? You're telling me no one in the league wanted to make a move for Jalen Phillips just to not let him go to the Philadelphia Eagles for a third-round pick? Are you kidding me? How does that even happen? Where are the owners? Where's the owners' competitiveness? Where's the owners with their chess moves? It's like the only team playing chess is Philadelphia. Jalen Phillips for a third. Jalen Phillips for a third makes no sense. And now you look at that team yesterday, bro. And Detroit's supposed to have one of the best offenses in the league, and made him look medium. Really, man. The disappointment in the fact that the league allowed the Eagles to get significantly better. And we're not even talking about Jair asking for some personal time off to possibly contemplate retirement. Like let's just say Jair gets it together, right? It's not like you're asking Jair to come out here and be your number 1 or number 2. No, you're probably sticking him in the slot or having him guard the third best wide receiver. There's no way that Jair's fell off that bad that he can't guard your third best. For all we know, this is I wouldn't even put it past Howie and Nick. I wouldn't put it past them to think that they just talked to Jair and told him, "Hey, rest up, get healthy. We're going to chalk this up to mental health. Take this time to gather your thoughts, but stay conditioned, stay ready because we're going to need you, but take the time that you need. Get stronger, faster, healthier. And when you're ready, you come back in, we'll slide you right in. Here's the playbook. Get to know it. If there's anything that I do want you to focus team-wise is just understand this playbook. Outside of that, Jair, take care of your body. Take care of yourself. We're going to need you on the back end here." I wouldn't put it past it that great organization. And I have to compliment them because they do everything we don't as a Cowboys fan. So you got to respect it. And I think because the way I'm talking about them right now, it's possibly the reason that maybe my wife kind of leans towards, like I tell my wife, like, if you want to be a fan of another team, okay, it just can't be in our division. And immediately she's like, Philly's pretty cool. And it's like, they are kind of cool. But I hate it. I hate that Philly's cool. I hate that they have everything that I enjoy about sports. I hate that they're just as delusional as I am in my head, but their team actually makes moves for them to be delusional for. I hate that their fan base is so rowdy that they're called obnoxious. I hate that their fan base has chants. They have cool chants. Like you're at a soccer game overseas. And it's catchy too. Fly, eagle, fly. It's like they do this cool thing. Philly's too cool for school, and I hate it. I hate that they represent what football is. So Robert Ross, you and your Fly Eagles fly. Enjoy it, man. Enjoy it. Because some of us just wish we could have a small glimpse. A small glimpse. Well, let's talk about the game tonight real quick before I send you beautiful people off to work. I appreciate you guys rocking with me this morning. You can call in at 575-808-9307. Shout out to the Dad Gang hats. My wife and kids got me this hat for the B-Day, so I appreciate it very much. Cowboys versus the Raiders. I already kind of gave you my spiel. I do feel like this is a game where Dallas really imposes their will. Hey guys, remember I've said this. I've said this before. I have said this before. The Cowboys being 3.5-point favorites. The over/under sitting at 500. 2-7 Raiders. When we compare defenses, Raiders defense ranked 25th. Guess what? Cowboys number 30. Okay. Where do we struggle the most as a Cowboys defense? Is stopping the run efficiency, ranked 29. You know who runs the ball well, but not really? You know who could run the ball well, but they don't? That's really what I meant to say is the Raiders. Rushing efficiency is ranked number 32 according to Next Gen Stat. But you're going up against the Cowboys defense that has given up all pro numbers to just about anybody that comes into that stadium or comes near this team. But this is the day that it changes. We got Logan Wilson. Quinn Williams is going to stuff that middle, boy. And this game is going to be 100% put on Geno Smith. And it's going to be up to Geno Smith and good old Mr. Kelly. And if you're a Raiders fan, I think you're looking at this game and you go, hey, Cowboys, please do what you're supposed to do and get Kelly fired. Let's read some fun facts before I let you guys go. Javonte Williams has rushed between the tackles on 62.6% of his carries, the fifth highest mark among running backs with 50-plus attempts. He has averaged 5.1 yards per carry on such rushes, the fifth highest mark among running backs with at least 30 inside carries, forcing 20 missed tackles, third most, and scoring 5 touchdowns, third most in the league among running backs. The Raiders allowed 3.7 yards per carry, the fifth fewest in the NFL on inside runs, but they have allowed a league high 8 touchdowns. So what that stat tells me is that the Raiders defense likes to clog the middle. So we're looking to bounce stuff to the outside. So let's see how Dallas carries out that game plan. That'll be neat. All right, let's get a Brock Bowers fact here. Brock Bowers has been targeted on 31.9% of his routes against man coverage this season. Well, guess what? Dallas almost plays no man whatsoever. The second highest rate among tight ends with at least 25 such routes. He has averaged 3 yards per route versus man coverage, the third most in that group. All 3 of Bowers' touchdown receptions this season have come against man coverage. In the Cowboys' last 3 games before their Week 10 bye, they ran man coverage on 39.6% of dropbacks, the 6th highest rate in NFL during that span. They allowed just 4.2 yards per dropback, 9th fewest in NFL those seasons. Whenever we do run man and we put pressure on the quarterback, we seem to see good results by the Cowboys. Let's see if they make any adjustments today. A part of me just thinks they're going to sit back in zone and kind of force Geno to eat them alive. But the one thing that we just said earlier in the show is that momentum is absolutely real. And the last thing you want to do is get that boy going. The last thing you want to do is give the Raiders hope. But the one thing we know about the Raiders is they got a pretty decent defense. We saw what they did with Bo Nix and the Broncos last week. You know, they're able to be in these gritty games. One last fact before I let you go. The Raiders have generated just a 27% pressure rate this season, the third lowest in the NFL, and have converted sacks on 19.8% of their pressures. NFL average, 19.2. That's the NFL average, and they're slightly above that. However, they have limited quarterbacks to a league low 3.4 yards per attempt when creating pressure, a yard and a half fewer than second place Bills. They have allowed 5 explosive pass plays, 15-plus yards when forcing pressure, while no other team has surrendered fewer than 10, and they have recorded 5 of their 6 interceptions following pressure. So what that tells me is I expect a load of pressure from the Las Vegas Raiders, but this is a day that we wore black to honor Mr. Chip Kelly as he is released from the Las Vegas Raiders after this beatdown that the Dallas Cowboys put on them. And with that being said, I appreciate you guys rocking with me. 6:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. I'll be back tomorrow where we talk college football with Tim Foley. Tim Foley will be joining us tomorrow at 7 a.m. Mountain Standard Time to talk college football, to talk if Texas still has a chance to squeeze into the playoffs even after coming out of that Georgia loss, because they still play Texas A&M at the end of the season. Texas A&M had an incredible comeback this weekend. UNM, bowl eligible, beat down on Colorado State, not beat down, but came down and won there on the backstretch. Coach X seems to have them boys buzzing, and hopefully they can keep as many of those 5-star athletes as we can. Until tomorrow, I appreciate you guys rocking with me. Remember, be a friend, tell a friend something nice. It might change their life. Shout out PMS. We'll see y'all in the morning.